Do you have any favorite or standout moments from GamerGate?
Um, hard pressed to call it a favorite, but there was this one standout thing that sort of like rubbed me the wrong way. Um, when like bad things were going down. Like I tried to find a source for this at some point in time, but I couldn't really. So you can take my memory as you will. But there was this incident in sort of the early period of GamerGate where I think it had to do with like a Dragon Age game or something, where like part of the writing in the game wasn't that good, and it was sort of found out like the writer was the woman, and she just ended up getting a lot of harassment for no reason but that, and it just sort of stood out to me for some reason as sort of needless. I don't know.
Miss Sonata saying that Lillian may have been created by somebody who was pro GamerGate for about a week and then
Mm,
quit. Though I don't know if that's true. I don't know who made Lillian James.
mm,
Cute design though too. Kind of a
mm.
cute oppositional art. If you could have changed one thing about GamerGate, what would it be?
Um, I think if y'all at the very onset of the movement went after Grayson instead of Quinn, it would have made all the difference in the legitimacy of it all.
If you could have changed one thing about the way opponents of GamerGate responded, what would it be?
Um, I guess just take the high road and a lot of like weird little interactions, just like in all the shit shows, shit flinging that would happen in the years to follow. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Miss Sonata says it wasn't a pro GamerGate person who made it. It was someone who was neutral.
Hmm.
What would you personally have done differently during GamerGate?
Um, I'm not sure. If I had more bandwidth at the time, I probably would have been interested in making more response videos, but I did what I was able to. I've always sort of been fairly busy, so. Mm.
You know how this would have gone. You would have made response videos. I'd have made response videos to you. We'd be like, it
Mm,
would be like a regular thing. We'd have like a friendly rivalry.
I was a big fan of the response video at the time. I think that was a period in time where like response videos would like show up linked to the original video like in a special manner. I think something like that. I know that was a
Mostly
thing
it
on
was
YouTube at the time.
comments at one point, I think.
Yeah, there was some kind of special link.
But I think that that basically went away just prior to Gamergate or very early in Gamergate, I think, where you could
Mm,
comment, you could literally post a video, your video, in the comments section of another person's video as a response, and they would allow you to do
mm,
this.
yeah, there's something along, something along those lines. But anyway, like I was a big fan of like the response video at the time. So, um, yeah, I don't know. That would have been, if I had more time, I probably would have been interested in doing that.
Well, at risk of being conceited, am I using that term correctly? Let me double check. Yes, very much so. I am. At the risk of both conceited and using the term correctly, but at the risk of sounding conceited, what did you think of my videos at the time? Was I a good representative of Gamergate?
Um, let's see if I can recall. I think so. Like you certainly, your focus was much more even-handed. Um, I remember at the time there were certain times when you would get a little more heated than not. And one of my overall impressions of you is that like when you would write intros to things, they would be very dramatic. um, mm, yeah.
Well, hey, thank you. I'm a
Mhm,
streamer. I'm obsessed with myself, so
mhm.
appreciate the feedback. on something I did 9 years ago.
Mhm. I mean, I think I saw some things that were just something I watched recently, and there was definitely some like dramatic intros of as of late as well. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, I mean, I was
flair.
some of the
It's a
stuff
fun
I
flair.
did was high quality. Some of the stuff I did was low quality.
Mm,
Um, but whatever. I mean, I'm proud of the high quality stuff I did. I
mm.
am. But like I wish I still had most of it. Do you have my old videos by chance? Did you save any of them?
I do not know. I was looking earlier for like my transcript of my like first GamerGate. The 'cause I did this response
This
video for
Thunderfoot one?
Thunderfoot. Yeah, that was a good one. I still liked it. I was looking trying to find my transcript of it so I could just like review what it was I was saying. But like I couldn't find it. I was like, I shared it. I had it on my OneDrive and like
Yeah.
I don't know, it just disappeared.
It's yeah. It's so interesting that like we met over this and like bonded over this from like across the aisle. Why do you
Hmm.
think more people on both sides couldn't do that?
Um, I think that's a broad question over why a lot of this just doesn't happen contemporarily over a lot of things. Um, there's a lot of extremism isn't the right word I'm looking for. Sort of maximalism that occurs in online discussions. And you can see this a lot in well, oh gosh, let me start over. Um, um, like why is it in online discourse when one person is observed failing to sort of quote unquote like toe the party line and says something that's like not aligned with like what a lot of people say, they end up getting like a shit show started over it, and like any like alignment previously sort of gets thrown out the window, and like everything just focuses on them like, well, now they're the biggest enemy for like having this one disagreement with the rest of the community. And this is certainly a phenomenon that happens. The question is like why, and the answer has a lot to do with stakes being high and fear of betrayal, and the fact that internet relationships are and can be like a dime a dozen, and that the nature of technology sort of reduces us to text as text on a screen and not a whole human being. And to what end can one put an entire interpersonal relationships amount of investment into a rando online? So when you see someone saying something that is like a little bit awful, you just don't know how off they're gonna be, and maybe you'll get betrayed and they'll like say something bad, or like not take your side, or something in the future. So you just can't trust it, and this is why so many um, expressions of positions on online discourse end up so maximalist that when so and so does something bad, where well then they're the biggest bad person ever in the whole universe, and they use like the biggest loudest like language to denounce it. And it's because if you if you entertain something more nuanced, then like, well, you don't know to what extent the rest of that person is, what else are they entertaining. And so, and because there's like an infinite amount of people online seemingly, you can just write people off. And so, like, I guess the answer to the question is that like it's just hard to find the internet as a good space without a whole lot of willingness to put forth an effort and engage in some sort of um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, vulnerability, and it's just not worth it. It's this. There's no reason to do it besides wanting to have those rich experiences. And if you don't, then you don't. So some people are willing to do so, and some people aren't. and that's kind of it. I don't know. That's why it's hard.
I was called out recently by somebody. I believe it was Ninetales,
Mm,
another streamer in the space. They've been following the project, and they said they thought I said that I'm having trouble getting anti-GamerGate people, and I think it's because they don't want to talk to pro GamerGate people, and they didn't want to back then either. And they thought that that was me kind of pushing the blame off onto the anti-GamerGaters for not wanting to talk to us. But there is this perception that I have, that other people have, that the anti-GamerGate people wouldn't engage in a discussion with us at all, with some exceptions like yourself, like Miss Sonata, like the people on the debate subreddits. But like that's a very small portion of the people engaged in like this overall controversy. It seemed
mm,
like most of the people on Ghazi, some exceptions, Crocodile Man, he was willing to talk with us.
mm.
Um, but like for the most part, they really weren't. It feels like. Is that? Do you think that's true?
Um, it doesn't. Yes, it doesn't feel too terribly unique, though. I feel like that's fairly common for schisms between sort of political extremes, I suppose. I mean, it'd be hard for most people on different sides of the aisle to talk. Like, I would have a hard. Like, do I want to talk to it? Do I want to talk to a turf? It's like, I don't know. Uh, it sounds exhausting, and it sounds like it's not going to accomplish much. Maybe, but I'd have to. It would be a great extension of patience on my part to an exertion of a lot of effort. That is my impression of what it would be like. And so I would imagine the feeling might be similar, although I suppose it being a little less personal. So, yeah.
Do you have any advice for any future online activist movements that might be looking to Gamergate for guidance?
Um, I think like graduating from the sort of leaderless, decentralized movement to something that's actually has accountability and maybe less interesting, maybe more boring, might be a bit more by the books, won't be wet and wild, but some sort of structure, I think, will produce more in the end. The only issue is that, like, is there the will to engage in something of that level of investment over a long period of time? And that can, of course, be hard to do. Um, Generally speaking, that's sort of what liberal politics are about, I suppose. Like, you don't get everything done through one effort. Like, you sort of demonstrate, yes, I'm sort of willing to fight this out over a long period of time because I care in an ongoing manner. And unfortunately or unfortunately, better for worse, that's kind of how it goes. So establishing that um, legitimacy like early on, like, is helpful.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on the leaderless thing.
Hmm.
Um, and because I honestly I think Gamergate like did a pretty good job of like condemning harassment of and accomplished like some of the things that they were passionate about. Have a good night, Ryan. Have a good night, Lisa. And like it was fun and like I've said with Hatman, um, he inspired me to add this new question, which is I didn't add it to the anti-GamerGate sides. Hang on. But he it's this question of if you could do it all over again, would you? And he said, abso-fucking-lutely. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Like it really was this amazing moment in time, and I'm really happy with it. And like, don't get me wrong, there was bad moments too, but
Mm,
it was a major part of my life, and I think that we did some good stuff
mm,
with games journalism, with creative freedom, and I think that we made a lot of friends, and I think that we were unfairly attacked, and like I would do it all over again too. Leaderless, and I'm glad that there's something like this in the world. I really am. And if you don't agree, like that's fine. Like we can have different agreements on that. We've disagreed on it for years. And I'm glad we're still able to be friends despite the disagreements. Sometimes
mm,
because of them, right? They help build our bond.
mm.
Um, yeah, I don't know about the leaderless thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's like mutually exclusive either. I think you can like build organizations and also have like a leaderless online thing. Like Deep Freeze is like an organization,
Mm.
but I don't know. I mean, it's sorry to cuck your answer. God, you want to like. what do you think of like the leaderless? Do you think there's any value in that?
Um, I think like the primary issue with it all, you take my stuff, is how should I say, the the sort of wet and wild nature of internet, like the whole rambunctious like way the internet like does its activism stuff, like it makes it hard to just gain that legitimacy, I suppose, because it's always just going to be like, well, just like this random raucous rabble of people are saying XYZ online, and it's a barrier you have to. It is there is a certain weakness to that. It's like I said, everything is pros and cons, and I feel like that the con of that is significant, and there are pros. It's very exciting. It's very fun. There's a lot of wiggle room in there to do things, but like, um, yeah.
What have you personally learned from Gamergate?
Uh, um, I'm not sure. There's a couple of questions here I didn't get time to think about. I think this
That's
is one of
fine.
them.
Well, some I sent you like the updated list, like what 2 days ago, so or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like yesterday. I don't know.
Mm, um, I mean, the whole effort certainly like exercised in terms of like me producing video content or taking part in video content, sort of YouTube content. Um, it sort of exercised a lot of thought patterns on my part and sort of led to a whole lot of things that I've been thinking of and like sort of wanting to make videos about. And sort of without it, I definitely wouldn't not have done so. Um, so I don't know if I learned anything directly, but it sort of like gave me some impetus to start thinking about stuff and give me ideas for positions to have, I suppose. Mm, yeah, that's the best I can say about that.
Was Gamergate successful in your eyes?
um, some extent, because again, GamerGate to me was the sort of reactionary politics as intersected with the gaming culture. And did it achieve what it sort of wanted to sort of keep the SJWs at bay and to sort of preserve gaming culture in the way that it sort of has been that people have gotten accustomed to and kind of wanted to keep being. And kind of in between, like I think like games aren't like I think games are better and they're still like titties. Um, and that's good. And but there's also more inclusiveness and stuff, and I feel like everything is a lot healthier. Um, so Gamergate did not stave off what SJWs wanted in that sense, I suppose. Um, so I don't know. I guess it's a mixed bag.
If you could do it all over again, your involvement with Gamergate, that is,
Mm.
would you?
Um, I guess if Gamergate's going to happen either way, then probably yeah. I would still like choose to engage in the conversation.
You know what we could do? We could do a Gamergate 2, okay? You go ahead and get a
uh,
bunch of people together, all right, on the anti-GamerGate side, which well, it's not even like a community, like you said. I think it is I think there were different anti-GamerGate communities.
sure, maybe.
Um,
Mm.
and they're probably different pro GamerGate communities too. Like these were both very vague, amorphous things. Um,
I mean, it's nothing to like have a meetup about, or like a regular
oh,
meetup
they
about.
did.
But
Ghazi
yeah,
had a real life meetup. Remember?
well, maybe not. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe like on a regular basis, or like that's the I don't know.
I think they
It's
only.
not the kind of thing where I mean maybe there's some like meeting. I don't know. I don't think it's the kind of thing where like you meet up once a week to be like those gamer gators. You know.
Yeah, I think the meetups were more our thing. I think they did one meetup. Ghazi did, or they.
Mm,
I'm not 100% on that because they posted about it, but they also joked about it too. So I don't know if the jokes became a reality after a while because they saw we were doing the meetups.
mm, couldn't tell you.
Thank you for watching another video segment from the People of Gamergate. I'm happy to announce that the book, The People of Gamergate Volume 1, is now available in both hardcover and Kindle formats. Please head over to gamergatebook.com or search for The People of Gamergate on Amazon to pick up your copy today. Thank you, and have a great day.